Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the album Angel Witch by the band Angel Witch. This is their self-titled debut album, and it was released in 1980. So before I get into the songs, I'm going to name off the band members really quickly. There's really only three. Kevin Hayborn on lead guitar and vocals. Kevin Riddles on bass guitar and keyboards and backing vocals, and Dave Hogg on drums. So the album opens with the self-titled song Angel Witch, and it's my favorite song they've ever recorded. Yeah, I mean, it's just the catchiest thing ever. The chorus is super catchy. The vocals by Kevin Hayborn is probably his best vocal performance he's ever done. Whether it be the studio version, the single version, or even any of the live versions, it's just such a great song. And oddly enough, the first time I listened to this song, I did not like the rest of the album because it sounds so different from the rest of the album. Like, it's such a very different sounding song with this in style of it. It differs quite a lot from the rest of the album. That's why I was kind of caught off guard at first when I listened to this song than the rest of the album originally. But it's just a great song, and it does make sense that it stands out among the rest on here because it is, it's their self-titled song. It was on, the one of their singles, and it's pretty much their signature song. So I guess it makes sense that it's supposed to stand out amongst the rest of their discography. Yeah, also it has this really cool opening, not riff, but yeah, there's a riff there, but also a bass riff actually, but it has this really great guitar solo. It's not really like a intricate solo. It's just a couple of a few notes being played very, very fast. It's one of those type of solos. It's not, the big solo. The big solo actually comes at the end of the song rather than in the middle. But anyway, it opens with this really cool, quick guitar solo with this really awesome drum beat and bass riff, and then it just bursts into the actual song, and it's just a great song. Also, the song is kind of unusual that the actual main guitar solo is not in the middle of the song, but at the very end. And then the song does a fade out after that. Yeah, just a very iconic song, and their absolute best song they've ever recorded. And I love every single version of this. Well, maybe except the version with their second vocalist. I can't remember his name, but pretty much every version with Kevin Hayborn on vocals, phenomenal. Next up is the song Atlantis, and this is another fantastic song. It has this really cool, almost Arabian type riff. And it's just very catchy. The chorus is also extremely catchy as well. And a really cool, interesting guitar solo. Yeah, just a really great song, and it just really it kind of it's slightly similar to the feel of the first song. Now, not super similar, but it's in a way that it actually very much fits to be the song that's right after the title track. Just the way transitions from the first song to the second song. It just fits very well. But yeah, Atlantis is another great song. Alright, next up is probably my second favorite song on here, and that's The White Witch. This is Kevin Hayborn's probably second best vocal performance. It's just this really cool mix. It's kind of like the vocal performance on the self-titled song, where it's a kind of a mix of very, very melodic vocals mixed with those quick high high, not shrieks, but like higher vocals, higher pitched once in a while throughout the song. And it's just done very, very well. The riff is great. I love the opening where it's kind of slowish at first and then it picks up right after. Just another really cool sort of main riff. And I love how it actually transition how the song is structured and how it transitions from part to part. Um, the slow part happens, but then right after you get this very cool sounding solo, cool sounding guitar solo, and in the background you hear this the bass riff and the drums have this very steady stop and go beat where like the guitar work of the actual like the solo the guitar solo is playing, but in the background you hear the riff and the drum the bass riff and the drumming having this like it just works very well, even though it kind of sounds a bit um it doesn't line up with the riff, but it doesn't have to. Like it's just this very cool like thing that goes on, and it's just even though it shouldn't work because it's weird, like it's a stop and go thing while a continuous guitar solo is going on. Somehow it works very, very well, and it just sounds amazing. Now I guess if you would hear if there were like separate audio with just the solo, and then you hear the stop and go rhythm of the drums and the bass separately, it would kind of sound odd. But together, when they go together, it sounds very, very good. Yeah, just a fantastic, fantastic song. Next up is the song "Confused." I can't remember if this is a B-side of a single or not. I don't think it was, but maybe. Um, oh no, it wasn't. Never mind. I was thinking of a different song. But yeah, "Confused" is another great song. This one is very much, especially with the riffing, the main guitar riff and the bass riff, sound very, very much like early Black Sabbath. Like just the slightly heavier tuning on the bass, and then the riff, just this very cool, very Sabbathy, early Sabbathy type riff from both the guitar and the bass. The vocals are done really well again, and the drumming is great as always, and then just another fantastic guitar solo. Not spectacular, but still very, very awesome. Next up is the song "Sorceress." Honestly, this song is probably yeah, it's probably my least favorite out of the entire album. It's just a very, very forgettable, very bland kind of song, and yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one. Side 2 starts with the song "Gorgon," which was actually originally side B of the self-titled Angel Witch single, which was their second single, I believe. I think their first single was the "Sweet Danger" single. But yeah, "Gorgon" is a great song. Of course, this is about the Greek mythical creature, the Gorgon, more specifically Medusa. Just a really great song. Although this one is really cool because this one kind of, for a lot of it, sounds very much like classic late 70s, early 80s, just like classic rock. Not necessarily heavy metal. It sort of has that slightly older sort of sound to it. But yeah, it's just a great song. Next up is the song "Sweet Danger." "Sweet Danger" was their first single, and this was the side A track. And yeah, I can see why this is their single. It's very commercial sounding, but very, very well done. Not too like pandering to commercial audience or anything like that. Like sometimes some singles are. But yeah, just another great song. Also, the opening riff very much reminds me of the main riff in the Iron Maiden song "Gangland." The opening riff and the main riff are actually different sounding, but the main riff and opening riff do have Iron Maiden vibes to them, like early, sort of like maybe the first like couple Iron Maiden albums kind of sound to it. The bass work also very much sounds like something Steve Harris would be playing. But yeah, just another great song, and it does sound very Iron Maiden inspired. Next up is an absolutely beautiful ballad called "Free Man." Yeah, this is it might be my favorite ballad they've ever done. I don't have to think about that. I think it is, but yeah, just another fantastic song, and honestly, I think this should have been the closing track. Although I think the closing track should have been the way it was originally, but I'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, "Free Man," great song, fantastic a vocal performance. Everyone does a fantastic job as usual, and yeah, just a very great ballad. Next up is the song "Angel of Death." Yeah, this one is sort of falls flat, kind of like "Sorceress." But this one actually has sort of a kind of a predecessor song to it. Because this song very much sounds not it sounds somewhat similar in structure and tone and just musicality to a previous song from one of their early demos called Baphomet. Baphomet is probably the heaviest, most sinister song they've ever done. Now, Angel Witch never got super heavy with their sound, but for Angel Witch, this song and then the song Baphomet are probably their heaviest songs. At least in the Kevin Hayborn stuff, I think that they got slightly heavier, ever so slightly heavier with the when they regrouped with a new vocalist during the mid portion of their discography. But as for the Kevin Hayborn stuff, at the very least, it's definitely one of only two heavier and more sinister kind of sounding songs. But where the song Baphomet succeeds, this one fails because it just isn't interesting and it just doesn't go anywhere, and it's the vocals are just kind of, I don't know, they're just not. This song very much seems like it was half-assed. Like it seems like it was just done very carelessly. And I'm not saying like it's a very badly put together song. It's just a song that just doesn't feel any genuine passion was put behind in the making of it, and it was just put on the album just to, bulk up the track listing. But yeah. And then the album ends with the instrumental called Devil's Tower. Yeah, this is a completely cut down and butchered version of the original song, or the original instrumental. Devil's Tower, this song, again, instrumental, sorry. This instrumental is only 2 minutes long, but it wasn't originally like that. See, Devil's Tower originally appeared on one of their early demos as a 5-minute instrumental track. And that version, that original full version, is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Probably one of my favorite instrumentals from the new wave of British heavy metal. But this, for some reason, when they put it on the album here, they cut it down from 5 minutes to just 2 minutes. And it's literally just the opening portion of it, like the opening portion of the instrumental, and the very few seconds of the lead into the main part of the instrumental. I don't know what went through their minds to think that, it would be a good idea to take this already full instrumental and chop it down to where it's not even half of it. It's just like a quarter of it. It's just the first bit. And yeah, it's just very, very, just a very poor decision making on their part to just completely ruin a great instrumental by cutting it down so much to the point where it's literally only less than half of it, and it's just like the opening portion of it. But yeah, that was a very dumb thing to do. Anyway, so before I get into my final thoughts on the verdict, I'm going to show off the artwork really quickly. Now, unlike most bands, for some reason, once in a while, some bands, including Angel Witch in this case, will instead of hiring someone to actually make art for that album for an album, they will just like take a picture or like have like a copy of like a picture copy of like a famous artwork or something like that, and just slap that on their album cover. And that's kind of like what they did with this. I can't remember the name of this photo or not photo artwork, this painting, because it wasn't made for this album. This is an actual like painting that I guess they just took a photo of or something, and then just like took that photo and slapped it on the album case. Now, while I do like it, I really, really like it. Just the awesome look of it. It looks to be like a hellscape or something. There's like oranges and reds and stuff like that. There's like fire in the background and like this looming building up on there, up on the mountaintop. I do like it. I am kind of disappointed. I do think it's very lazy when a band decides to not hire someone to do an artwork for their album and just take a picture of an already existing like actual like art piece from like a museum and just slap that picture onto their album cover. But again, love the artwork, love the actual painting, but again, kind of a lazy move to just do this instead of hire someone to do the artwork for their album. But yeah, still great artwork though, just kind of a nitpick of mine when bands do something like this. Anyway, the back is nothing much. It's just a picture of the band. As you can see, there's only 3 band members there. Now, later on, the band would get more members. I think they became like a 4-piece, eventually. Right, at this point in time, they were just, a group of 3. And then you get the, artwork from their, first 2 singles, or kind of. This whole thing was actually from their, first single, their Sweet Danger single. Although a yellow version of this would be on the cover of the UK version of their second single. And then of course you get the track listing. Oh, I almost forgot. So this is a colored vinyl. And you do get, the bigger version of the artwork on the back here of this sleeve. And then the back as well, with the same thing that's on the back here, just arranged slightly differently. The vinyl is actually this really cool orange vinyl that has the original Bronze Record label on it. Now, Bronze Records did not release this re-release. It was a company called Culture Factory, which they did a fantastic job at recreating the original album. Now, of course, the original vinyl was just a standard black vinyl. That's, this is really the only thing that's very different. Everything else, at least that I can tell, is pretty much identical to the release of the original album. Hold on. Alright. Like the front cover is exactly identical. The back, at least from what I remember seeing pictures of it, it looks almost to exact identical. The inner sleeve, I don't know about the inner sleeve. I don't know if that was something that was originally like this on the original or this is new. But at least the outer case is exactly the same, and the actual like a sticker label on the middle of the vinyl is again the a Bronze Record sticker. And they don't even have like the actual like record company that released this version on the back. Like they were trying to be extremely faithful to the original release in looks, and they actually, instead of putting the record company putting their identifier on it, it's the Bronze Record identifier, because again they're trying to make this as accurate to the original release as possible. Again, besides the orange vinyl. Yeah. So, overall, well, Angel Witch is probably one of my least favorite of the new wave of British heavy metal. And this is probably one of my least favorite albums from that. It's still a great album despite that. Yeah, I mean, if I were to pick any album for the most part, most days in terms of new wave stuff, I picked an Iron Maiden album, a Grim Reaper album, even the first Diamond Head album over this one. But that's not to say I don't like it. I really do, and it's an album that I kind of feel like um, I need to be in the mood for. Like, if I want something that's not, one of, like an Iron Maiden or Judas Priest, when I'm in the mood for something that sounds a little bit different, I guess, and not too, out there, this is a great album for that because it's very simple, very standard, traditional heavy metal or new wave of British heavy metal, but it is very good. And when you're not looking for something that's just sort of not when you just want something that's standard, I guess once in a while when you want something a little bit different than what you're used to, I guess this is a great album to put on. Yeah, most of the songs on here are really really good. My only complaint is really the shortening of the instrumental Devil's Tower. I really wish they put the full 5 minute version on here instead of chopping it down to 2 minutes. But yeah. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. I would have given it a 9 out of 10 again if it wasn't for the fact that Devil's Tower is just completely shortened. But yeah, it's definitely an 8 out of 10, and I do recommend. I do think that Angel Witch are kind of the underdogs of the new wave of British heavy metal. They're kind of overshadowed by bands like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and Grim Reaper, and other bands like those. But they should not be ignored because this album, for the most part, is absolutely awesome. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.